What's happening? Happy hump day to you and yours. Thanks for joining us as always. Usually we have our previews on Friday, but of course, Patriots playing tomorrow night against the Jets, Thursday night football. So we are here today breaking this game down, previewing the game, and letting you know where I think it's going to end up. The prediction, the line with the spread, all those good things. We'll talk offense, defense. But before we get into anything, don't forget to do us a solid. Takes a second of your time. Doesn't cost you any money. Make sure you hit that thumbs up watching YouTube. Give us that thumbs up for the engagement. That's how we beat that algorithm. More thumbs means more eyeballs. So don't forget to give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to throw a comment in. I see Marilyn commenting, Michael commenting, Terry commenting. Don't forget to throw a comment in, whether you're watching live or on demand, and subscribe. Trying to get to 4,000 subscriptions within the next couple of weeks. And if you're on Spotify, Apple Pods, rate and review. All right, let's start with the defense. And we have to start with Juwan Bentley because Bentley is out. As we know, he has a pec injury. There's been some conflicting reporting whether or not he's going to be out for the entire season, if he's going to be out for most of the season. Let's just put it this way. Juwan Bentley will not be playing tomorrow night against the New York Jets. It ain't happening because of that pec. Now, the first thing I would say is communication. Without Bentley on the field, you have to change up your communication. He wears the dot. So if Bentley's not wearing the dot, who's wearing the dot? Kyle Duggar is wearing the dot. Here's the thing with communication with this defense, changing who is making that communication happen and how it could impact tomorrow night's game. We all saw the DK Metcalf touchdown, miscommunication between Duggar and Gonzalez. Duggar misread things, and all hell broke loose. With this Patriots defense, for the first couple of weeks, what Brian Flores, nope, wrong guy, that's Minnesota, DeMarcus Covington, what DeMarcus Covington has done is he has disguised a lot, right? Pre-snap to post-snap, there's a lot of disguise with this defense. So if you're changing things and there's a lot of disguising happening out there, you really have to rely on your quote-unquote quarterback of the defense, and that would be Bentley. So Duggar, with all of the disguising the Patriots do, and whether or not they'll do that tomorrow night, we'll see. Maybe they strip things down. Maybe they play a little bit more simple on defense, not only because of Bentley being out, but also because of this matchup against the Jets. So maybe the Patriots will do less disguising and less trickery tomorrow night. But if they play defense in a similar fashion as to the way they played the first couple of weeks, that communication is going to be crucial. And now the guy who has been relaying that message is not playing. So we have to keep an eye on that. Bad communication leads to coverage busts, leads to big plays, right? So that is going to be a crucial part of this game, how the Patriots handle, how Kyle Duggar handles that communication, and what will the defensive plan be going in based off Bentley not playing. Do you just keep it simple, stupid? Do you go with the KISS method? We'll see. Of course, Bentley also is a big part of the run defense, going downhill, making tackles, playing physical. He had 12 tackles in week 1. He's not the best in coverage, as we know, but Bentley being out could impact your run defense. And Raekwon McMillan is going to be asked and tasked to do a lot of what Bentley usually does. Sione Takitaki is not ready to come off IR. He's going to be out at least the first 4 weeks. So McMillan, I think, will be first guy up. He was first guy up last weekend. So all eyes on Raekwon McMillan and what he can bring to this defense without Bentley being out there in the second level. Let's start with this part of the defense. Can the Patriots limit the run game? The Jets have 2 running backs who are dangerous. Breece Hall is a dangerous running back. Braylon Allen is a dangerous running back. But the Jets have not run the football effectively this year. And it's all small sample size, right? But through the first 2 weeks of this season, the Jets' run game has been almost non-existent. They're 11th lowest in run rate, so they're not running the football a lot. They have the 7th fewest yards. They're 21st in yards per carry. Their offensive line is carrying the 7th highest stuff percentage in football. 25.6% of the Jets' runs this year have been stuffed. That's not what you want if you're trying to run the football. So this rushing attack for the Jets has not been very good. And that should open the door for guys like Keon White, Devon Godshaw, the linebackers coming up, the hybrid safeties. There should be plays to be made against the run game of the Jets. Again, they're talented. I don't doubt Breece Hall's talent, but they just have not been capable of running the football consistently through the first 2 weeks. Could change tomorrow night, but the Patriots have done a very good job stopping the run, and the Jets have not run the football very well. You would hope that continues tomorrow night. The other part, when you look at what the Jets have done offensively trying to run the football, defenses have not been stacking the box against them. It's just not the case. The 12th highest rate versus light boxes. So the Jets, when you put all of this information together, they're trying to run the football. They have good running backs. They have talent in the backfield. But they've been getting stuffed more than a quarter of the time. And they're getting stuffed more than a quarter of the time, even though they're running against light boxes, which means no 8 in the box, right? You're not bringing guys up. You're not creeping guys up if you're the Patriots. So some alarming numbers for the Jets when you look at this run game, when you look at the analytics. The Jets love running outside the tackles. They don't do a lot of inside the tackle running. So that means you got to contain the edge, right? Jennings, Keon White, Dietrich Wise, those guys on the edge. Jelani Tavai, they've got to be capable of containing the edge because the Jets love to run outside the tackles. It also means that your defensive backs, your safeties, sideline to sideline, they've got to make some plays. So the run game has not been great for them. And I think the Patriots can do a good job against this run game as long as Raekwon McMillan doesn't lose himself tomorrow night replacing Juwan Bentley. Now, of course, some of the run numbers could partially be due to getting down to San Francisco in week 1. Some of that plays a role. But overall, this has not been a very good running offense, which leads us to the pass game for the Jets. Here's my biggest question for the Patriots. Are you going to be able to get pass rush? They just have not been able, the Patriots have not been able to get to the quarterback with 4-man pressure. They just haven't been able to do it. And it's been a big problem. Outside of Keon White, you've had a little bit of Joshua Uche sprinkled in, but 4-man pass rush has not been good for the Patriots. So will they be able to get to Aaron Rodgers? When you look at the Jets and what they do and how they protect the quarterback, their pass protection numbers are good. They're really good. 8th in sack rate. They have the 5th lowest pressure rate. So you have a Patriots defense with their 4 pass rush not getting home to the quarterbacks consistently, right? The pass rush has had a problem with only 4 guys rushing. You're going against an offensive line that has given up the 5th least amount of pressure rate in the league. So can the Patriots create any pressure? The Patriots are 31st in pressure rate, and they are last in pressure rate when they don't blitz. They literally have the worst pass rush in the entire NFL. I don't see that changing because I don't see the horses up front changing. So I don't know how you get to the quarterback without blitzing. Now, teams have not blitzed the Jets a lot. As a matter of fact, when you look at it, the Jets have faced the least amount of blitz rate in football. So defenses are looking at Aaron Rodgers in this offense, and they don't feel like they have to blitz these guys to at least somewhat limit them. Will DeMarcus Covington feel the same way? Will he go into this game thinking we don't have to blitz Rodgers a ton? What's interesting is teams have not blitzed Rodgers a lot, but Rodgers has not been good against the blitz. So this is a game. Does Covington blitz Rodgers because Rodgers' numbers aren't good against the blitz? Or does Covington lay back, not blitz as much, and force Rodgers to try to dink and dunk you to death and try to force the Jets, hey, you want to run the football, try to run the football against us because we don't trust your run game is great. So which side of the coin does Covington fall on? It's going to be fascinating and compelling to watch tomorrow night. Now, the other thing about Rodgers, when you look at it statistically and analytically, Aaron Rodgers is getting rid of the football very quickly. I mean, it is get the snap, get rid of the football. Get the snap, get rid of the football. And so that makes me wonder if he is still a little bit concerned about the Achilles. He's still a little bit uncomfortable in the pocket. So he's just getting rid of the football ASAP. Some of that, of course, is play calling in the plan. But are you just getting rid of the football quickly because you're 40 years old and you're coming off the Achilles? Rodgers has been mid. He's been mid this year. He's 18th in QBR in the league. He never takes risks. We know that. Rodgers, his interception rate is the lowest in NFL history, actually tied with Jacoby Brissett, because he doesn't love taking risks. Rodgers is not going to throw into a lot of tight windows. It's not what he does. He didn't do it with the Packers. I mean, during the pinnacle of his career, he would not take risks. He plays a very safe kind of football. That's why his interception rate is so low. I know my buddy Greg Bedard said, he was out there in Green Bay and Rodgers was obsessed with his passer rating. Always obsessed with passer rating. And you get a higher passer rating if you don't take as many risks. So Rodgers is not a risk taker. He's going to get rid of the football quickly. He's also not as mobile as he used to be. I mean, when we think about Rodgers at his very best, his mobility would hurt a defense, right? He could escape pressure. He could gain 10, 12 yards at a time. He'd pick up that first down because, you might pass rush past him or you don't have enough pass rush. He finds ways, he finds avenues, he finds those paths, and he scampers for a first down. He's now 40 years old. He's coming off that Achilles. He's not nearly as mobile as he used to be. Now, maybe he'll be a little bit more comfortable tomorrow night. He has a couple of weeks under his belt now, but he is not the same guy when it comes to running with the football and dodging tacklers and causing headaches with his legs. He's not the same kind of quarterback. The other part of this Jets passing game that gets my attention is it's lacking big plays. Now, I know Lazard caught a big play downfield. I saw that play. But this offense for the Jets, this passing game, they are 20th in yards per pass attempt. So a lot of dinking and dunking. And it makes sense, right? It's tough to throw the football deep and have these big chunk plays and have your yards per attempt be a big number when your quarterback is getting rid of the football so quickly. It's a lot of quick stuff. And that might be to protect the quarterback. That might be because they feel that's their strength at the wide receiver position. But it makes sense when you marry the idea of how quickly Rodgers gets rid of the football and you marry that with the pass yards per attempt. Get rid of the ball, quick routes, boom, 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 boom. That's what the Jets have done a lot of this year through the first 2 weeks. Again, a lot of this can change. We're only in week 3. Just letting you know what they've done through the first 2 weeks. We have a better idea of who a team truly is when you're week 7, week 8, week 9. But Rodgers is getting rid of the football quickly. A lot of short stuff. Inevitably, the battle is Nathaniel Hackett, who is not very well thought of in the NFL as an offensive mind. It's Nathaniel Hackett versus Covington. Can Covington get the best of Hackett? The next question I have, and don't forget, if you're watching this, if you enjoy the podcast, if you like the alternative, give us that thumbs up, throw a comment in, and subscribe to the channel. Let's continue to beat that YouTube algorithm. Will Christian Gonzalez defend Garrett Wilson almost exclusively? It's a big question that I have about this game. And it goes back to what I started with. Are you going to run a lot of disguise defense in the secondary, or are you going to keep it simple? If you're going to keep it simple because you're worried about Juwan Bentley not being out there and you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page so you're not going to get too cute defensively, the best way to do that, the easiest way to do that, is tell Christian Gonzalez, you've got Garrett Wilson. That is your guy. You're going to travel with him, and we'll worry about everybody else. Will you go man? Will you go Gonzalez against Wilson, Jonathan Jones against Lazard? Is that what you're going to do? Mike Williams, who signed in the offseason, he's played under 43% of the snaps. They're slowly rolling him into the season. How much does he play tomorrow night? I don't know. But what I would say overall is when you're looking at this Jets offense, not a lot scares you. I mean, it's not like you're going against Seattle on Sunday. They don't have the wide receivers that Seattle has. And Geno Smith is actually playing better right now than Rodgers is. So it's not like you have multiple receivers that you're concerned by. Lazard, yeah, he can make a play or two, but he's not a top-notch receiver. Mike Williams, again, not playing a ton of snaps, and he's trying to get back from his latest injury. Garrett Wilson is a legitimate, bona fide number one wide receiver, but if you put Gonzalez on him and Gonzalez plays good against him like he's played well against pretty much everybody else, including Wilson last year in Gonzalez's rookie season, if you put Gonzalez on Wilson and Gonzalez handles Wilson, I think you could be pretty successful against this pass offense. I wouldn't mess around too much with Rodgers. I really wouldn't. I'd keep it simple. I'd play some man coverage, and I would try to find the opportune times to blitz Rodgers to get him off his game. Maybe he makes a mistake. Most likely he doesn't, but maybe you get him off the field on a big third down because you time a blitz at the perfect time. But I wouldn't screw around too much with the defensive plan. I really wouldn't. The other thing about this matchup before we get to the Patriots offense, which I know a lot of you want to talk about, it is, as it always is, but especially in this matchup, it is pivotal to keep the Jets in between the 20s. You don't want the Jets to get into the red zone. The Jets have the fourth best offense in the red zone this year. They have converted on 75% of their red zone opportunities. So 75% of the time they get in the red zone, they're scoring a touchdown. You know, you have tons of issues scoring touchdowns and you know, big play offense and all that kind of stuff. The last thing you want to do is give up a couple touchdowns to the Jets because now that puts pressure on your offense. So you want to keep the Jets inside the 20s because they've been in between the 20s because inside the 20, they've been way too good. And down and distance, as it always is crucial, but especially with this matchup because the Jets have the third best third down offense in football. You've got to make sure that you are leaving Rodgers 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. If the Jets are being productive on 1st and 2nd down, that could be a major, major issue. All right, let's get to the offense. Because I know many of you want to talk about the offense. You want to talk about Pop Douglas. You want to talk about this offensive line. That's where I start, the offensive line. The offensive line is where you have to start. Pass protection is the obvious problem for this football team. The pass protection has been as bad as it was early last season. And you just can't have it. When you have that kind of pass protection falling apart over and over and over again, you're going to get smoked. The quarterback's going to get smoked. And we saw Brissett multiple times on Sunday get smoked. Here's the concern. The pass protection has not been good, and now you have a bunch of injuries. Now you got to deal with a bunch of injuries. Vidarian Lowe, he's out. Hasn't been great, but now that puts Caden Wallace at left tackle. So you have a rookie left tackle who did not play left tackle at Penn State, did not play a ton of left tackle during the preseason or during camp. Now he is your starting left tackle tomorrow night. So there's going to be a lot of pressure, literally and figuratively maybe, on Caden Wallace tomorrow night. Can he hold his water? Or will he lose his ass on Amazon Prime? Lots of people lose their ass on Amazon Prime. Will Wallace lose his ass on Amazon Prime in a different way? So you've got your rookie left tackle starting tomorrow night. On top of that, Michael Onwenu is questionable. I would guess he'll play, but we don't know. He's questionable. Not only is Onwenu questionable, but David Andrews is questionable. So you've had Chukwuezekorfor unpredictably leave the team. You have not had Sidy Sow play a single snap of football that matters yet. You have now lost your starting left tackle in Vidarian Lowe. and two of your best offensive linemen, even though Owenu had a stink burger last week, two of your best offensive linemen, arguably your two best offensive linemen, and Andrews and Owenu, are now questionable. So that's a big problem. Your pass protection has been poop, and now you got a bunch of injuries across the offensive line. Here's a bigger issue. Not only do you have problems with your offensive line, you are literally going against the best pass rush in football. You combine those two things, you start to get a stomach ache. If you're Alex Van Pelt, you have concern. The Jets, number one in pressure rate in the NFL. They have created pressure on more than 45% of the dropbacks that they have faced this year. Number one in pressure rate. They are number 4 in sack rate. They sack a quarterback 10% of the time that quarterback drops back through the first 2 weeks. So they're pressuring quarterbacks. They're sacking quarterbacks. And here is the icing on the cake, so to speak. The Jets not only have the best pass rush in football, they don't blitz a lot. They have the 8th lowest blitz rate in the league. So what that tells you is the New York Jets pass rush is the antithesis of the Patriots pass rush. Number one, they get home a lot. Patriots don't. Number two, the Jets get home a lot with their 4-man pass rush. And we just told you the Patriots have pretty much the worst 4-man pass rush in all of football. So picture the Patriots pass rush and flip it, turn it 180. That's the Jets. Now, the one unknown, and it's a pretty big unknown, is that Jermaine Johnson is out. He tore his Achilles last week for the Jets. And Jermaine Johnson is a good pass rusher. And so now you don't have Johnson. Hassan Reddick is still holding out. Who knows when that's going to end? So you're not facing a fully powered Jets pass rush tomorrow night. But I don't think they have to be fully powered to make your life a living hell tomorrow night, because your offensive line is far, far from fully powered. And you still have guys on this Jets defensive front that are going to concern you. Will McDonald, first-round pick. Pressure rate, 17.9%, 3 sacks. Javon Kinlaw has a pressure rate of over 17%. So you have McDonald, you have Kinlaw, and you have, of course, Quinnen Williams, who is the big man in the middle. He's got 4 pressures this year, 6 tackles. He doesn't have a sack, but he's got 4 run stops. And if David Andrews isn't feeling great, and you got Layden Robinson at right guard, Michael Jordan at left guard, you're going to have some issues trying to handle Quinnen Williams. So even with Jermaine Johnson out, you still got Williams, McDonald, and Kinlaw that you've got to deal with. And that ain't going to be easy for an offensive line that is banged up and inexperienced at multiple spots. That is why I think we're going to see a lot of the same from the Patriots offense, which means the Patriots, I believe, are going to run the hell out of the football tomorrow night. Expect more of what you have seen. You might even expect a lot more of what we've seen earlier this year, even though it might seem unlikely that you could run the ball a lot more than they've already run the football. Tomorrow night, I think Alex Van Pelt's walking into this game saying, we're going to run down your throat. We are going to run the football directly down your throat. And if you can't stop it, that sucks for you. Cleveland Browns played this Jets defense late last year. They ran the football down the Jets' throat. The Jets in week 1 got croaked, absolutely croaked by the 49ers run offense. Now, they were better against Tennessee. Is that because the Jets were better or because it was Tennessee and they weren't worried about Will Levis? You might say, well, they're not going to be worried about Jacoby Brissett. Could be a fair point. But I don't think Cincinnati or Seattle were worried about Jacoby Brissett, and the Patriots were still capable of running the football against those two damn good defenses. So Alex Van Pelt, I would anticipate, is licking his chops at the idea of running the football, because not only is it your bread and butter, but the Jets have also had some major issues against the run. The 5th lowest stuff rate in football. So their defensive line, they're not stuffing runs. They're allowing room to operate, which means you're going to have a lot of Ramondre Stevenson versus the linebackers and defensive backs. If you can get, because they don't have a lot of extra guys at the line. Remember, they love their 4-man pass rush. So you're going to have your offensive line, your 5 offensive linemen against their 4 down linemen. And that's going to mean you get to the second level with some blocks. It's also going to mean that Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson, they're going to have their opportunities against Jets linebackers and defensive backs. And they're going to have this opportunity to break some tackles and make some plays. Very similar to what we saw week 1 against Cincinnati. A lot of the contact was by defensive backs onto Mondre, and Mondre busted right through those tackles. So, 5th lowest stuff percentage. The Jets are not really, winning the line of scrimmage when it comes to the run game on defense. What teams are not doing is they're not running in between the tackles. 5th lowest run percentage in between the tackles. So teams, when they're looking at the Jets, they're not trying to run in between the tackles. They're running outside the tackles, which is interesting. But it also makes some sense because, the Jets have Quinnen Williams, as we've mentioned, Javon Kinlaw. They've got some big interior defensive linemen. Williams is tough to run against. He himself has 4 run stops. 5th lowest run percentage. Yeah, in between the tackles, 5th highest run percentage outside the tackles, which means you're attacking outside the tackle box. You're attacking on the outside. So what will we see? Will we see outside zone run game? Will we see duo and downhill run game? Will we see a mixture of both? The Patriots are going to want to run the football. We all know that. But this matchup might be perfect for them to run the football. It might be perfect for them to just turn out yards and dominate time of possession. The Jets, they'll play heavier up front, and you'll see what they do. And I'm sure Alex Van Pelt will adjust if he needs to. Don't forget, week 1, they were running some outside zone. They changed to some duo and downhill. And then last week, they actually had some success with outside zone runs. If there's one thing about this offense that has actually worked, it has been the run game. And the offensive line against Seattle did a really good job run blocking. So they've shown they can run the football. And I think they'll go right after the Jets with the run game. Another part of this is that C.J. Mosley has not practiced all week. He's got a toe injury. Robert Saleh said it was going to be 50-50. But it doesn't sound like Mosley's going to play. C.J. Mosley, their linebacker, is, one of their better players. So you might have him out of the mix. Keep an eye on Quincy Williams. He has 9 run stops, which is, top 30 in the league. They're other linebackers. So Quincy Williams has done a good job. You got Quinnen Williams and Quincy Williams. Don't get confused. The Patriots can run the ball against this defense. They can run the ball against this defense. They can control the tone of this game. Get a little physical. And, the question will be, will the Jets start to try to sell out to stop the run? Or will they allow the Patriots to run if they're having early success? The other part of offense is throwing the football. Captain Obvious just walked into the room. Don't forget to give us that like. Thumbs up means a lot to us. Don't forget to throw a comment in as well. Let's beat that algorithm. Can the New England Patriots wide receivers win? Can they win against coverage? Michael Carter, DJ Reed, 2 defensive backs for the Jets are dinged up. They practiced in full. I would expect them to play tomorrow night. But how healthy are they? Are you going to challenge those two guys? Will Pop Douglas get involved? Now, I don't want Alex Van Pelt to force the football to Pop Douglas to the point where the offense is not doing anything but trying to get that guy the football. But you do have to get him touches. We talked about it on Monday. I don't need to drag it out. Pop Douglas needs the football. You need to get him with touches. You need to get him in space. You need to get one of your most explosive players on offense involved in the offense. So what do? Quicker designed routes is one thing you can do. Rub routes, right? Pick plays, rub routes. Run those off the line of scrimmage. Run a wide receiver screen or two. There's nothing wrong throwing a bubble screen to Pop Douglas to try to get him going. Nothing wrong whatsoever with that. It's like this fly around me. Nothing wrong with that at all. Jet sweeps. If you're going to run a jet sweep, don't give it to Jalen Polk. If you're going to run a reverse, give it to Pop Douglas. Those are the ways you can get Pop Douglas the football and get him involved. Now, here's one problem with Pop Douglas and what the Patriots are facing, and that is usage. And I thought this was fascinating. Before the season kicked off, I don't know if I did it on my Patreon page, which, by the way, Patreon page, $5 a month, $1.25 a week, exclusive content for you. Patreon.com/Nick Cattles. I remember talking about Pop Douglas, and I also talked about this a little bit on 98.5 one day. My concern with Pop Douglas, when everybody was saying, Pop's going to catch 100 footballs, I had a few concerns going into the season. Number one is injury history. Number two, his size. Number three, because of his size, how much would he actually be used by Van Pelt? Van Pelt, he relies on wide receivers that can block. And they also play a lot of 12 personnel. So how does Pop Douglas fit? And Evan Lazar wrote about just that this week. The Patriots had 20 snaps against Seattle in 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends. They had 20 snaps in 12 personnel. Pop was on the field for only 2 of those 20 snaps. So he's not getting on the football field a lot. Some of that could be management, concern over the injury stuff. But some of that, again, is just because he's not a big guy and he's not blocking downfield. Lazar wrote the coaching staff doesn't view Pop as a base receiver in a run-first offense. Sturdier blockers, Jalen Polk, KJ Osborne. So Lazar writes, besides putting Pop in motion, there isn't much else he can do in their base offense, which is 12 personnel. So if you're going to get Pop on the field more, you have to get out of the offense that you like to run. That's a problem. Then you say, Nick, play less 12 personnel. Just do it. Here's the thing. Andrew Callahan at the Herald wrote about the Patriots in 11 personnel. When the Patriots play 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. When the Patriots play in 11 personnel, their success rate is 35%, which is god-awful. So here's the problem, right? You want to get Pop involved, but your offense has been at its best in 12 personnel, which is 2 tight end sets. Pop's not going to play a lot in 12 personnel. So if you want to switch to 11 personnel to get Pop on the field more, guess what? Your offense has been bad when you've gone to 11 personnel. You see the problem that we've got with Pop and his usage? You can still do a better job getting him the football, and they need to do a better job of getting him the football. The lack of targets and the lack of production is inexcusable, and I am not excusing Alex Van Pelt for a failure getting the football to Pop Douglas. I'm just trying to give you guys the context as to why it's not easy peasy 1, 2, 3-zy. Let's just throw Pop Douglas on the field and make this all work, because he impacts the rest of the offense. So if you're going to go to more 12 personnel, if you're going to play more 2 tight end offense, you're not going to see Pop Douglas any more than you've seen him the last couple of weeks. And by the way, Kendrick Bourne would help a ton. Not telling you he's the greatest wide receiver in the history of the world, but Kendrick Bourne is this team's best receiver when he's healthy, and they need him. They need him badly because he is a guy that fits with this offense. He has experience with this offense from his San Francisco days. He would be a big help as long as he is healthy. So I hope he gets back soon. All right, some nuggets about this offense. Get guys in space. The Jets, 5th most missed tackles in the NFL. Get your playmakers in space. Ramondre Stevenson, Pop Douglas, get those guys in space. Maybe even try to get Tyquan Thornton a bubble screen to get him in space with his speed. So get guys in space. The Jets defense has been bad on third down. 25th in the league on third down defense. If you have some success on first and second, you should be able to continue drives over and over and over and over and over and over again. By the way, Corey asked me, I see it in the chat, Bourne. He says, can't for Bourne to come back. I'm guessing he says can't wait for Bourne to come back week 5. Hopefully he's back week 5. I read that he's been walking around in the locker room recently, so that usually means a guy is feeling a little bit better. So hopefully, Kendrick Bourne is closer to being on the field than not. But the Patriots can extend drives against this Jets defense if they have some decent success on first and second down. And that goes back to the run game, right? If you can get your run game going on early downs and you're looking at 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, the Jets defense has had a tough time getting off the field on third down. So give yourself that advantage. Give yourself a chance. Another part of this game is, can the Patriots finish drives? It could end up being a field goal fest for the Patriots. The Jets have the 8th best red zone defense in the league. Now, of course, Tennessee swings that a bit when you got Will Levis fumbling the football like he did last week. Just an unbelievably crazy play. But if you're going to get in the red zone, you got to try to finish those drives. All right, I got the spread. I got my prediction coming up in a second. Don't forget, do me a solid. If you like our coverage, if you like this podcast, if you love the podcast, don't forget. Do not forget to hit that thumbs up on YouTube. Throw a comment in, chat with us, whether it's during the pod or after the pod on demand. Comments and likes, that's what beats the YouTube algorithm. It's all a computer game. It's all a computer game. And if you want an alternative, this is what we try to do here. Like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, my Spotify, Apple Pods people, they know what to do. And that, of course, is rate and review. Terry has a $20 super chat, technically a $19.99 super chat. Thank you, Terry, for contributing to the program. Will we get a prediction or we wait for Crafts and Kickoffs? Crafts and Kickoffs, my NFL podcast tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern time right here on this YouTube channel, the Nick Cattles channel. You do not have to wait until tomorrow night. You do not have to wait for Crafts and Kickoffs for a prediction with this game, Terry. And again, thank you for the $19.99 super chat. It is very much appreciated, as it always is from you. Feels like deja vu, right? When we're talking about this game, it feels like deja vu through the first couple weeks. Not a lot has surprised me about the early part of this season. We walked into this season knowing that the first month of this schedule defensively was going to be incredibly challenging. It's one of the reasons why I said, hey, look, sitting Drake May and being patient with Drake May makes all the sense in the world. You have a tough Cincy defense, who, by the way, made Patrick Mahomes look pretty normal last week. Analytically, one of Mahomes' worst games in years against that Cincy defense. And then you have Mike McDonald and that Seattle defense, which is legit. It's not getting any easier. Now you got a short week traveling to play the Jets. And the Jets, as we talked about earlier, they have the best pass rush, the best four-man pass rush in football. We all knew this was going to happen. Now, I would like the offensive line to be healthier. I would like the offensive line to be playing a bit better. But I feel like we all knew this was going to happen. And next week, you got to fly to San Francisco, play on the West Coast against a good defense. So a lot of this is deja vu. The first three matchups are very similar, right? You got to run the football. You got to watch out for the pass rush. You got to watch out. The difference with the Jets is the Jets come at you with four-man pass rush. They don't play a lot of games up front like Lou Anarumo, Cincinnati defense, and Mike McDonald, Seattle defense that played games up front. They don't play a ton of games up front, but they can still get to the quarterback and make your life miserable. So a lot of this sounds like the same because it's been very similar matchups the first 3 weeks. The Jets right now are a 6-point favorite. The over-under is 37.5. I am 2-0 against the spread so far this season. 2-0 against the spread. I think tomorrow night's going to be an ugly game. And I apologize ahead of time for this ugly game we are about to witness. I think it's going to be a rough watch at times. You have a short week. Neither offense is lighting it up. Neither offense has been, full of big pass plays. I think the Patriots are going to run the football a lot, as I mentioned. They're going to play time of possession football. I hope they mix in a little bit more short passing, get Pop and others involved more often. But you're going to see a lot of the same that you saw against Cincy and Seattle. See a lot of the same. I also expect low turnovers. Rodgers and Brissett, they, as far as last weekend, those two guys were tied for the lowest interception rate in NFL history. Rodgers doesn't turn the football over. Brissett, most of the time, does not turn the football over. Now, of course, he can get pummeled by a sack and fumble. Anybody can. But I don't anticipate the quarterbacks turning the football over an awful lot tomorrow night, if at all. This game, for me, is incredibly tough. It's incredibly tough for me to call because of the injuries. And that's the reality of the situation, right? Caden Wallace at left tackle. Is he going to be worse than Vidarian Lowe? Is he going to look the same as Vidarian Lowe? Is he going to be better than Vidarian Lowe? David Andrews got a hip issue. He's questionable. How injured is he? What will he look like, right? Jawan Bentley out. And for the Jets, Jermaine Johnson gone for the year. C.J. Mosley most likely going to miss this game. You've got the cornerbacks who are dinged up. So on a short week, you've got a lot of change because of injuries to both teams, which makes it incredibly difficult to predict a game on a short week. But I got to do it because it's my job. I got the Jets winning this football game tomorrow night. I think the Jets win. I thought the Jets would win before the season. I feel like the Jets are going to win this game the night before the football game. I think the Jets win tomorrow night. I think their pass rush will cause enough issues, especially against this offensive line that has not been good enough in pass protection and now dealing with all sorts of injuries and absences. The Jets' pass rush is going to be a headache for the Patriots tomorrow night. They, of course, have home field advantage. And even though Aaron Rodgers is not the same guy, he's certainly more than capable of beating you a couple times on a couple plays. And he certainly, has much more potential to damage you than Jacoby Brissett. But I don't think either team is going to move the football a ton. I don't think either team is going to score a bunch of points. This game is very winnable for the Patriots. Just like the first two games were winnable for the Patriots. The Patriots, if they can run the football down the throat of the Jets, force them to react, control time of possession, get set up with good down and distance, if you can run the football for $150 to 200 yards tomorrow night, that could change the entire dynamic of this game. And I think the Patriots will be able to run the football a decent amount. But then I get concerned about the red zone. The Jets have been very efficient offensively in the red zone, and they've been very good defensively in the red zone. So even though if the Patriots can move the football, I think we could see a number of field goals tomorrow night. So I've got the Jets winning, but I have the Patriots covering. I've got it. The Jets 16, the Patriots 13. So 16-13 Jets. However, the Patriots are absolutely capable of winning this football game tomorrow night. Unless there are turnovers and multiple turnovers, I think this thing could be pretty tight. Tightly contested. But I'll go with the Jets winning because the offensive line to me is too much of a question mark for the Patriots, especially with all these injuries. So Jets win, but they do not cover. Jets 16, Patriots 13. Patriots 1-2 after tomorrow night, heading to San Francisco for week 4. That is my prediction. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, rate, and review. I appreciate every single one of you for watching this podcast, supporting this podcast in any way you do. Super chats, likes, comments, subscriptions, all of that stuff helps us an awful lot. I'll be back on a Friday to review this game at 3 p.m. Eastern time on this YouTube channel. And tomorrow night, my NFL podcast, Crafts and Kickoffs. We'll have a beer tomorrow night and talk some football as well. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, I appreciate every single one of you. This has been Nick Cattles on a Hump Day.